Auburn had their A-Day yesterday. Bit of a different vibe, right? Not the same 11-on-11 that we're used to seeing from Auburn's spring game, but still, it was football being played. The pads were popping. We're going to tell you everything that we are hearing around the A-Day and give you the latest intel and react to that intel. If you want to get all the intel, though, Auburn Live, Cole Pinkston, Jeffrey Lee, the entire team over there, Justin Hokanson, crushing all the coverage around Auburn. Make sure you get a membership over there, the Auburn On 3 site. Also, make sure you are subscribed right here to the On 3 YouTube channel. College football, nothing but college football year-round. Appreciate you being dialed in. If you're an Auburn fan and you want to see more Auburn content, best way to let us know that is by subscribing to the channel, so we appreciate you for that. Now, I was really excited to hear the latest around Jackson Arnold. Oklahoma transfer, probably the favorite to win the quarterback job. He's this new leaf that Hugh Freeze is going to turn over in 2025 and have the offense ripping and roaring, and he was not available yesterday for the A-Day. Sounds like it was kind of a freakish injury thing, more of a cautious thing. Sounds like he's good, but yesterday, it was the Deuce Knight show. He was the only scholarship quarterback that was wheeling and dealing. Sounds like he had a good day. Had a good day, was maybe a little bit later on some throws. It's not wildly surprising considering the fact that Deuce Knight should still be in high school, so take of that as you will. Was also told that Deuce Knight did a good job playing within the pocket. So Deuce Knight, what makes him special now is he can have the play breakdown on him, get out of the pocket, and then go 60 on you for a touchdown. It's very, very different. Very, very different gear with that dude at quarterback. But played within the pocket. Sounds like he played well. And he's a work in progress as any true freshman quarterback is at this point in their career. But I'm very, very encouraged that he got so many reps this spring. Because even when Jackson Arnold was on the field, is Deuce Knight and Jackson Arnold the only two scholarship guys taking reps. I mean, the amount of volume he got this spring is going to serve him so well when it comes time for fall camp. I'll say this again, not because there's anything related to the spring game, but just because of how I feel about this. Deuce Knight needs to have a role. Too talented, physically, too freakish, needs to have a role for Auburn here in 25, even if he's not your starting quarterback. Now, the receiver room, speaking of freakish, they are still freakish. Cam Coleman had the catch of the day, I was told. Him and Kay and Lee going back and forth all day long. No Eric Singleton. Again, a cautious move by Auburn. Not like he's going to be out for the season or anything crazy. Just like cautious move, held him out. We're not going to have you hurt yourself in a spring game that we're still just trying to get everything figured out. We know you can play. Perry Thompson had a day. Malcolm Simmons had a day. Hearing about those dudes having big A-days, it just continues to drive home the fact that Auburn is in an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver position. I mean, they're so set at wide receiver because those are two names that you mentioned after a Cam Coleman, after an Eric Singleton. How do you cover all those guys if you're a defense? How do you account for Perry Thompson, Malcolm Simmons, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, plus the running back room, plus maybe a quarterback in Jackson Arnold who could scoot a little bit, or Deuce Knight? Like there's so much there for Auburn offensively to where you shouldn't have to worry about can you score points. Last year you gained yards, but weren't able to finish in the red zone. If they don't finish in the red zone this year, there will be a very confusing conversation to have about the Auburn offense because the skill is next level, and you saw that from some other wide receivers yesterday. Those dudes were the first two names that I heard being talked about when it comes to having a good A-Day. Now, defensively, I was told the defensive line won the day. We know this, man. You want to win in the SEC, you got to win in the trenches. Jordan Crawford is a freshman for them. He had 2 to 3 tackles for a loss as a nose guard. Y'all, nose guard isn't usually the position that goes out there and makes a bunch of tackles, let alone having 2 to 3 for a loss. So I was told he's the strongest guy on the team as a freshman. It's a nice little centerpiece for Auburn up front should he factor in the fall like you hope he factors in. DeMarcus Riddick, I was told he looked really good in coverage yesterday, which is encouraging based on all the skill players that Auburn will have to play this year in space and have to be able to rally up for. Kay and Lee, I was told had a really good day, defensive back for them. We said this in our preview for the Auburn spring game. It wasn't a thing where I needed to see the secondary just dominate because that wide receiver room for Auburn, we've said again, is ridiculous. But seeing Kay and Lee have a good day and be a name that's mentioned as a guy who was battling with Cam Coleman back and forth, like you're not going to see too many better receiver rooms if you're the Auburn secondary. Like I get Georgia's good, I get Bama's good, but I don't know that you're seeing a much more talented receiver room than you're seeing at practice every single day. So my question for that room was, when it comes to the DBs, can you just have a day where you win your fair share of battles? Are you in position? Are you able to be in a spot where you can challenge to make the play. Because at some point, man, Cam Coleman's going to get his, right? Like, that's kind of how this whole thing shakes out. But if you're battling and continuing to progress and show good things during spring ball, when it's time to play another color, I like the Auburn secondary when it comes to how battle-tested they are. So that's an encouraging thing. Now, out of spring for Auburn, 2 questions that will define their success in 2025. 1, do you have a quarterback? I think they do. More importantly, I think Hugh Freeze thinks he does. This time last year, we were talking about Peyton Thorne and his time in the system and the way he's progressed. We weren't talking about his skill set being all that special. You're talking about the Jackson Arnold skill set right now when you talk about the Auburn quarterback room. And if you're not talking about his skill set, you're talking about Deuce Knight's skill set. Very different talking about experience versus skill set as the focal point. Skill set means we got some horsepower to work with, and I think that's different for Auburn here than any quarterback they've had under Hugh Freeze, obviously that being Peyton Thorne. Second question, do you have a roster and a culture in place that knows what it takes to win? Because Auburn had multiple spots last year where the game was, I don't know if the game was theirs, but they were in a spot to go win the game, and it didn't happen that way. Some of that you chalk up to year 2. Some of that you chalk up to young football players. You don't chalk it up to anything in year 3. There's still some youth out there, but I don't think you have the same built-in excuse that maybe you did in 2024. 2025 is about finding a way to win. That's what good teams do, man. And this isn't a Georgia segment, but Georgia's a great example of this. Georgia last year had a lot of the same numbers on paper that LSU had. The difference is LSU went and, lost a couple of games, and Georgia went out and won the SEC. Why? Traits, knowing how to win, and being able to be great when it's time to go win games in the fourth quarter. Is that the jump that Auburn takes their third year under Hugh Freeze? Question remains to be answered, but I think that's what you got to look at here when you talk about what Auburn can accomplish here in 2025. But nonetheless, spring is in the books for Auburn, and next we got fall camp, and we will, of course, cover that to the nth degree, as we always do on this channel. But if you are an Auburn fan or a college football sicko, and you want to talk fall camp, you want to talk summer 1, summer 2, you want to talk everything that has to do with the greatest sport on the face of planet Earth, make sure you are subscribed. For Cato, wheeling and dealing on the 1s and 2s. For myself, JD Piquel, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We will keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.